to another episode of Law, Lifestyle, and the Basics. My name is Temitope Olasumana. Just in case you're joining me for the first time, Law, Lifestyle, and the Basics is a channel where we talk about law, lifestyle, and of course the basics. I know I'm repeating myself with the title, but it's very important that becomes clearer. Now, I'm a lawyer by profession, and I like to tell people about their rights and law, especially in a country like Nigeria, in a continent like Africa, where there's been a lot of, downtrodden of rights. So, on this channel, you'll be learning more about the things that you do not know as a citizen. Now, there's this saying in law that ignorance of the law is no excuse, and that's very true. I know a lot of us have, stepped into probably while driving got into traffic in Nigeria, and you found, especially in the roads, Lagos State, and you find out that one part of the road was somewhere you shouldn't pass, and it doesn't matter if you did know or didn't know. Those offenses are called strict liability offense. Just the fact that you do them, you don't need to prove that you had an intention. It's just a strict liability offense. So really, it's very important that we know our rights going forward, and it's not only when you have challenges that you should be able to be abreast of these facts. People, it's usually medicine after death. Most times people get into legal troubles before they find out the right path from their lawyer. It's when the problem usually happens that people get to talk to lawyers. But I'd advise you to always make sure you consult a lawyer in any area that's not clear to you. So today I'm going to be talking about something I talked about in my previous post, and that's I gave a hint about my journey as a legal practitioner in Nigeria and the things that I wouldn't do, my values and my ethics. And some of you might ask, how realistic is that? How realistic is it for me to present my case? Or how realistic is it for a lawyer to help me deal with my case and not lie? I don't know if you've watched interviews where you have very, very cerebral guest speakers, especially celebrities being asked questions. Now, there's something called deflecting. I'm not bound to tell you something I don't want to tell you, even if you put a gun to my head. That's for me to say whether I will tell you or not. Fear usually drives people to say things they shouldn't say. Now, it's like walking around the subject and staying in the subject and not veering off track. You have a storyline, the truth, and nothing but the truth. And even if it were detrimental to you somewhat, there are ways to go about it. For example, somebody asked me a question, where do you live? And I live maybe somewhere in Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria, and I can give that person that information. But going forward, when the person begins to probe to the streets, I could just blankly say the streets. And even in the witness box, you cannot be declared a hostile witness, except that a hostile witness is a witness that is not cooperating during cross examination. You cannot be declared a hostile witness unless you're being violent. Now, under the American Constitution, you have what they call the Fifth Amendment. You can take the Fifth when you're going to say something that puts you in jeopardy. Now, that's not applicable in Nigeria, but even though we don't have that Fifth Amendment here in Nigeria, you're not necessarily bound to say anything in court. The court can record. The court can record its deductions or whatever it is. So you're not really bound to lie. So as long as you have rights or you have your facts, and if you find that there's something that you can say that can steer you off the course, it's always better to keep silent. That saying that mothers say, that if you don't have any good thing to say, it's better you keep quiet. You cannot be mandated. And that brings me to the judge's role. When you watch movies, Nigerian movies particularly, when the person is being placed under arrest, when the person is being arrested, there's this saying that you have a right. Please pay attention. You have the right to that, because there's a misnomer that's usually said in these movies. I consider it a blooper. they say you should remain silent. Whatever you say will be used against you. That's not correct. That's not the judge's rule. The judge's rule is that you have a right to remain silent, and a right is a choice, something you can exercise. You can choose to keep blabbing or you can choose to keep quiet. But it's just for them to let you know that whatever you will say can be used against you. They're just telling you that you're not mandated to talk. That's really what the judge's rule is all about. A cautionary, a caution about your rights. So if just even at the point of arrest, when there's seeming evidence against the person, you have the right to remain silent. Then what happens when you go to the law court? Of course, you have a right to keep your reservations and rather not ask questions and let the judge make their findings and deduction, as long as you're staying within the truth, what you know as really, really true. So it's very practicable to, present your case without lying and take it from celebrities who undergo interviews. During interviews, they deflect. You can deflect. You can choose not to say something. You're not bound to say something. You're not like it's not like even an ATM card when you slot it into the machine. If it doesn't have funds, it will tell you you have no funds. So if there's something you don't want to say or shouldn't be saying, you're not bound to say it. So once again, I give a recap on the judge's role. You do have the right to remain silent. You're not bound. In other climes, in Western climes, Western countries, and even in Nigeria, under the administration of criminal justice law, a person can reserve his speech until his lawyer is present. Actually, under the administration of criminal justice law in Nigeria, you, especially for example, Lagos State, a person who's been arrested and wants to give his confessional statement should have his lawyer present. So all of this is just about guarding your speech, and everything you do going forward, be very intentional about your speech. You can choose your words, you can pick your words, and you don't have to be bound to say the things that you don't want to say. I hope this helps a little. It's very practicable. They say a modest man, is modest in his speech. An exceptional man is modest in his speech. And scripture also says that if we don't err in our words, then that's the perfect man. So please be very intentional about the things you say. You don't have to exaggerate, you don't have to talk out of place. Just make sure that you say within the ambits of common sense and truth. There's no common sense if there's no truth in it. It's not called being smart, it's just called being less. You're chipping off your image in front of people, because very soon everybody's going to find out that you've been lying. I went for a pitch recently and the guy was quoting some figures, and they broke it down to say if you say you served 100,000 clients and you've only made probably 3 million naira, so even if you collected maybe a naira or a kobo just for each job you're doing, how have you made this amount claiming, or how come you have served 100,000? Did you do some jobs for free? So it was very apparent, and people show no mercy when they find out that you're lying. It becomes a very embarrassing situation, even though they themselves lie. So it chips off your integrity, chips off your image, and funnily, when you're now telling the truth, nobody takes you seriously, and in court it's called this witness is not a witness of truth. So you would say some things that are, you think you're covering up and playing smarty pants, trying to say the truth in one regard. And now finally, because you have, people say when you lie according to your IQ, not according to the IQ of the era. That's the intelligence quotient of the era. You lie according to what you think, and the person can be smarter than you, especially judges. They are very smart. They can see the loopholes in the gaps because you are writing. They are very intentional about whatever it is. The records are being kept in court, and you're lying off the top of your head. You're trying to weave a story, and then you're not accurate. And so, when you're weaving a story and a fiction around something that's untrue, by the time you're saying something that is true, you will not be taken seriously. So, I hope this helps, that we stay with the habits of conscience and what's right. I wish you all the best. Kindly like, kindly share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Thank you. This was Temi Talk by again. Thank you.